I'm just coming back from my ayahuasca ceremony because there is still paddle, so I need to walk. And this was like a really interesting night, which I didn't enjoy so much, but I'm gonna tell you everything about it. Hi, beautiful gorgeous. It was like the first time in my life I actually encountered my father. Oh. Hi, beautiful gorgeous souls. Welcome to the channel that still doesn't really exist. Wait for it. This is all in imagination. Today I will talk about ayahuasca ceremonies, my last adventures in Putumayo. To me, certainly this plant is an amazing, wonderful, beautiful plant.
And as you can see, I also look very beautiful during the ceremony.
Heal the humanity. And so I'm totally pro ayahuasca person, even though my last experience was really weird and really crazy. Before I will talk about my last trip, I will just give a little bit of introduction about what ayahuasca is. However, I do recommend you to do research on your own, to read more about the plant, because perhaps I did not understood correctly. So this is my knowledge, this is my understanding of what ayahuasca does to you. So we all have a filter in our brain. We have the neurons, and then we have the synapses that are connecting the neurons, and the synapses are like a filter. So basically what ayahuasca does, it breaks the filter and we get all information in. So usually we have this filter, so we only receive what we need to survival. And so this is like theory. Ayahuasca breaks the filter and you are coming into another dimensions. You can see spirits and lots of things happening. I would divide the people who take ayahuasca, who drink ayahuasca, in two parts. This is very basic. There are people who are basically had some little traumas, some family issues, but they never lived through some crazy, really profoundly devastating experience. And when they go and they do ayahuasca, many times they have very pleasant and beautiful visions. Now, there are another types of people, and I'm one of the second part. And so those people, in my thinking and my beliefs, are the people that lived through some crazy shit, some crazy trauma as a children or adults, or maybe they even created a lot of issues. So when they go and they do ayahuasca, they come back to live again through their traumas. So that doesn't necessarily is going to happen, but it may happen, and to most of people it's happening. And also people who didn't had such big traumas, they also can experience something like this. But from what I've seen and talked to my friends, like people who had a big something really unpleasant, like if somebody was raped, abused, I don't know, seen the murder, their family was murdered in front of them, or things like this, most likely the plant is going to take you back in your subconscious mind to that stories. And at least this is always what has happened to me. And actually, before I will talk about my last ayahuasca ceremony in Putumayo, I would like to talk about my previous ceremony to that, which was extremely, extremely strong. It was in Cali, in Colombia. So I went with shaman who my friend recommended to me, and in Cali to do the ayahuasca celebration with this shaman. And the first cup, it didn't make any effect on me. I'd seen a little bit of like bombs and a lot of children dying, and that was it. And I was seeing like all the people were like, oh my god, like really crazy, doing crazy things and like shaking their bodies, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I was super relaxed, And actually, just before that, I came to this celebration of ayahuasca on my own. So my friend, which I already known, he presented me to older lady there, and he told me that she's gonna take care of me in case if I would have some issues. So I spoken to her before drinking, and she told me, you come and you talk to me if anything. I drink first cup, nothing happened to me. I was like, anyway, I can deal with this on my own. I drink the second cup, and this was my first time drinking ayahuasca, so like I already know it can be really crazy. And so I drink a cup, second cup, and I was super relaxed and super happy because I felt like, oh, it's not so strong like my friend said. And so I lie near the fire, and oh my god, I'm kidding you not, like after 5 or 10 minutes, it's just bam, entered to me. And I could barely walk, and I was just like, oh my god, where is this woman? I'm gonna need her help. I cannot go through this crazy thing on my own. So I ran where the woman was. I nearly vomited on the girl in the hammock that was in there, because that's what happens to you. When you're drinking ayahuasca, most likely you're starting to vomit like a lot of things, not even food, but I'm just talking about the emotions, so you can keep vomiting quite a long time. So I ran to the woman. On my way, I nearly vomited on a girl. I literally fell on the ground and I was puking like crazy. Although I didn't really have anything to puke apart of water, because I learned my lesson not to eat a lot of food and skip the lunch. So I already know it because I know what happens with my body. And the woman, this was a really crazy ayahuasca ceremony, because it turned out that she became a part of my ceremony. And so she was super sweet to me and super nice, and she was saying in this sweet little Spanish words, Olivia, ¿dónde te quieres aliviar? ¿A dónde te quieres aliviar? Aquí, abajito de este arbolito, aquí está bien. So she was speaking to me like this, and I was like totally coming into being a child. So I came back totally into being a little child, and I could like hear as I'm speaking to her with a super childish voice, and I knew I'm a little child, but I also knew that I'm me, so it was all crazy. Then I started puking under the tree, and the world became totally crazy, like crazy. I was opening my eyes and I could not come back. Everything was totally different dimension, and I could also not just stand up or even go to the toilet because I was just lying and vomiting. And so here was like the funniest story. Like the plant really took me. I think also because of this woman, because I was feeling safe, that she was like vigilant and that she was near me all the time. So I felt safe enough to give myself a chance for this trip. And so the plant took me to the time when I was a little toddler, and my mom killed my dad, which is like same story, always taking me back there or to similar scenarios. And it was like super weird because I have no memory whatsoever about my dad, and I have no emotion of it. It's just always felt like a huge emptiness, because I remember what happened, I've been there, but I don't really remember consciously. It's all in my subconscious mind. So this memory of when my mom argued with my dad and she pulled a knife and in her self-defense, you know, put the knife in his throat, in his aorta, bam, he died. So obviously I was there, but I was too small to remember. Yet I was not too small to remember because I all remember it, but in my subconscious mind. So during that ceremony, it was like crazy because I was on my knees and I just started crying so badly, and I was just this little child, and I was just crying after my mom, and then when this passed, I was my daddy, my papa. I don't even know what language it was because like my ayahuasca ceremonies are like in Spanish or in English. It's just really weird. And then I felt like the first time like my dad would be there, but like only spiritually, which was so like bizarre. Like I was feeling like I was with the ghost of my mom, which is weird because she's still alive, and then there was also my dad somewhere around there, but it was also only his presence. Like like spiritual presence, I have no idea. So it was like the first time in my life I actually encountered my father, but without really seeing him like physically. It was just the feeling that he was around, and I got like super super crazy, and I was like, ah, mama, papa, and it was just such a profound pain that obviously I'm carrying within myself all these years, and I bottle up all the things, what happened not during that one event, but what happened afterwards, that they took my mom to the prison, that I was staying with the grandmother, the mother of my father, who used to hate me and call me a murderer when I was small. So it was just like explosion of all different things in my life after that event. And I feel it brought so much sadness to me. So I was just really crying like crazy, and I was like in totally different world. And then so these helpers, they came to me and they put me these things to bring me back from the trip. And I just heard like the woman is saying to him like, look what is happening to her, can you see it? Tú ves lo que le está pasando, mira lo que le está pasando. So it was just like, totally crazy. And after this, they brought me back. And all this story, I'm telling you like in 5 minutes, but this lasted like hours. Like first I was puking myself out, and I could hear like all these monsters coming out, but I didn't see any monsters on that ceremony. I didn't see anything ugly. It was just this weird, like being in this other world where there was a spirit of my mom, when I was so sad, when I could just cry out all that sadness that I bottled inside me. And then this spirit of my dad, it was just so bizarre. And afterwards, when the shaman came and put this thing on my hands to bring me down, like the perfumes from the flowers, I calmed down a little bit. And then like this woman was so nice, and she was telling me like, oh, aliviate, quieres aliviarte, descansar un poquito. And I was like, oh my god, like I cannot regress. Came back to be this child. I mean, all my trip actually was this, I don't know, like 5 years old child, or I don't know, like 3 years old child. And I would be just crying and crying. And then I started like, ¿por qué están comiendo todos estos animalitos? ¿Pero por qué están comiendo todos estos animalitos? Like, why do they eating all these animals? Like, why do they eating all these animals? And this lady started telling me like, mándales misericordia, mándales misericordia. And I went like into super bizarre trance. I just went on my knees, and I would just be like, start saying, os manda amor, todos los animalitos, os manda amor a todos los animalitos, esto ya no va a pasar en esta planeta. Like, I'm sending you love, all the animals. I'm sending you love to all the animals on all the planet. This is happening only the one time in the story of humanity. This will never happen again. It was just like so weird. Like I was literally feeling like I'm this little child, like in the trance, like healing all the planet. And then once I finished with this, and the woman was like, oh, do you want to take rest? Do you want to take rest? And I was like, ah! And all these children that are sleeping on the streets and nobody wants them. It was like crazy. Entonces ahí como empecé como, ay, todos los niños que nadie les quiere, que viven en las calles de la India. Entonces, and so that lady told me, mándales misericordia, mándales todos misericordia. So like send them love, send them all love. So again, I was like, oh, first I was crying. All those children that are living on the streets and nobody wants them. And like myself really being a child. And then I sit back on my knees, and again I went into this trance, which was super weird. And I was just feeling like I'm healing all the children on the planet and like sending them my good energy. And I would be just saying like, ay, todos los niños de esta planeta, yo os mando amor a todos los niños de esta planeta. So it was just like super bizarre, and I would do it like for a while, and then I would be like, okay, wow, that's me done. And I lie down, and I start feeling like such a gratitude towards the earth, and I felt such a big power of the earth, and I felt such a big connection with Pachamama, and I felt like, oh my god, like such a release. Also, I want to say that during this trip, I felt like, oh my god, this is so freaking crazy. Like these shamans were coming to me, or this woman was near me, but I could not see them because I was seeing all this another world, and I would be like, oh my god, like this was so heavy. It's just so hard because I'm sitting on the stones in here. Just look at that. So it was really heavy psychologically because I was feeling like, oh my god, like the medicine was so strong that I felt like that I'm just not gonna go back from that really super weird world, and it lasted so many hours. And so it was like really weird trip, and I felt huge connection with Pachamama. And after that trip, I had like a really weird feelings because I was seeing a ghost freaking everywhere, and I was getting crazy for a few months. Luckily, that stuff already passed. But towards the end of this trip, I felt like a really beautiful connection with Pachamama. I felt like Earth is strong, that Earth really has the capacity to help me, to help all of us. And I had like this really super weird vision. I'm not sure if this was during my ayahuasca or if this was after, but like I had this really weird vision when I seen myself, like, and lots of little children and me like serving them ayahuasca, and I would be like thinking like, no, I'm not going to serve ayahuasca ever in my life. This plant is so freaking strong. I don't think I ever want to have another ceremony. This was like so freaking strong. But then in the morning I was like, oh my god, this plant is so good. It is so needed. The people so need this to heal. So it was crazy. So sometimes like I'm remembering this vision of me, like, I don't know, being somewhere in India and having all these children and serving them ayahuasca. It was just like, I'm not sure if this ever will happen, or this was just, you know, one of these imaginations that just come to your mind. Because at the end, like, some things that ayahuasca show you, the people think that plant shows you the future, but the truth is you create the future also. Like, there are some things that of course you cannot predict in your life, but it's not like people think that what plant shows you, it must happen. No, sometimes it's your wishes, sometimes it's your imagination, sometimes it is what is the way of the planet, what is going to happen if you don't change for the good or for the bad things. So that's like the point. For example, with my visions, when I seen really terrible, oh my god, like a terrible visions about environmental stuff and what is happening to the planet. Because right now, as a humanity, if we don't stop exploiting the planet and damaging and destroy everything, this is where we are going to go, to destroying everything and ourselves too. Let's go back to my experience in Putumayo with my last ceremony, which was the same shaman, but obviously the experience was totally different, and I was kind of really excited because I was like, it's a little bit hard for me to focus right now because the people start coming around, and it's just really difficult in Colombia to find a quiet spot when you can speak. So the point is, so in my last ayahuasca ceremony, when I went to Putumayo, it was the same shaman. It was a totally different experience. And I already, actually, when I did the ceremony with this shaman, I knew that something is wrong. I could feel it. And then when I came there, his wife wasn't there, and it's always, his wife was always with him in all the ceremonies. Okay, I think this is gonna be me ending the video. I think I will have to do it another day.
People coming around as usual.
So yeah, let me go back maybe to that story some other time. And people really look at me and make funny faces because like there's not many people like white around, and then also I am pretty dirty. I'm not sure if you can see it. So there you see this, you know, girl. covered in dirt and the earth. With messed up hair at 9 a.m. when I didn't sleep. It is just really funny. With the helpers of the shaman laughing and speaking some crazy shit like, oh my god, she doesn't eat eggs. She doesn't eat eggs. She doesn't eat eggs. Oh, she's vegan.
Deja de hacer la bulla. ¿Escuchaste? Ya, para. Deja de hacer la bulla.
She's vegan. That's why she's lying down on the stones and purging herself. Look at her. She cannot.
Deja de hacer la bulla.
She cannot even walk. She cannot even walk. And I was like, what, man? I'm purging my family traumas while you're laughing at me.
Mira cómo está tirada en el suelo, ni puede caminar, porque no come ni huevo, ni la carne, el poder de viaje.
And saying that I'm lying on the stones because I'm a vegan and I'm not eating eggs. Are you freaking kidding me? Is this ayahuasca celebration in Colombia?
Y es una pena realmente porque este chamán tan maravilloso, este curandero con la